Hello, my friends, colleagues, family. The question that is arising very quickly now, frequently, is why do we need plasma if we want to hydrate the body? When we visit doctors, doctor tells us that we have to hydrate, but no specification is given. So nothing is specified what to hydrate with, how to hydrate. The response, drink water, have some liquids. Well, liquids, what? Tea? Every tea dehydrates, and we know it. No matter what type of a tea you drink, even the herbal teas, you will notice after you finish drinking tea the dryness of your mouth. Dehydration. The body wants to eliminate immediately the compounds which are into the tea that brings the flavor of the tea. They are based on plants. Plants resonate, vibrate differently. So body is going to want to eliminate this. And how do we eliminate? Well, kidneys usually eliminate it through urine. Now, what is this urine? Where it comes from? Well, it is your blood plasma. When the kidney filter, the blood, basically, it's called glomerule. I call it like a nuclear chamber, where you have a ball in which on one side you have arteries bring blood in, and on the other end you have veins taking the blood out. So the whole blood, the full blood is going into glomerule, and from here is reabsorbed everything minus what the body wants to eliminate. Which means I call it toxin, but it's not necessarily venom. It is stuff that the body does not need. A lot of it has to do with the proteins and stuff that simply present garbage in the circulation, which causes resistance to electric flow, and has to be eliminated. And then whatever is being left in this glomerule is then drained out with a liquid from the blood, which is, we call the blood liquid. The basic liquid is not water, it's plasma. It is water in ionic state, and it's put in ionic state through, as the name says, ions. And those ions are minerals. But different minerals have different charge. Some are positively charged, some negatively charged. Whatever is flowing in the blood has to be slightly positive or neutral, but slightly positive. So what happens is that certain minerals, positive, will electromagnetically bond to negative mineral. And when this occurs, this united structure now is called salt. It contains cation, positively charged, and anion, negatively charged ion, mineral. And as such, they can then be transported through blood. You cannot transport plain mineral, especially if it is negatively charged. So if you see a simple mineral, like calcium, it must be positively charged. Otherwise, it is going to stick to blood vessel. This is why we have polarity. The whole universe is built on electromagnetism and on polarity that repels each other or attract each other depending on this polarity. Positive and positive will repel, negative and negative will repel, but positive and negative will join. So, when we are drinking, when we want to replace this lost plasma, now again, the urine is a plasma, it's not water. Why? Because the glomerulus mechanism is not capable to fully extract things without losing minerals. And no matter how dehydrated you are, when you urinate, to taste your urine, it's very toxic, it will be bitter and full of urea, bad smell, but it also will have some salinity to it, which means we are losing salts. We are using ions. And when you drink, liquid, if this liquid is water, then water normally has some minerals in it. Water without minerals, rainwater, if you taste it, has no taste, it's awful. Okay? We are accustomed to drink water from river, from well. Why? Because rainwater seeps through soil, it dissolves salts and minerals, and salts will create a colloidal mixture, which means particle dispersed in the water, and this changes the characteristics of the water. Plain water, like distilled water or rainwater, because they have no ions. Looking at it from electroconductivity, how it conducts electricity, well, it is isolator. You put electric wire in distilled water, in a glass of distilled water, and you put your fingers in the water, nothing happens. But you put little ions, you put a little bit of salt in there, and immediately you get zapped, because ions will conduce the electrical current. Since we are electronic robots, we cannot live on water. So when we are being brainwashed that cells produce kind of water, the clearest, purest water, well, if that would be the case, we would die immediately, because it would be perfect, like putting an isolator in a cell. The electricity cannot flow, cell dies immediately. So we just have to use the kugel a little bit. The thing is that we are being brainwashed, and through science. It's not science. It is science adapted to the best and strongest possible misunderstanding. Everything we are being told, especially medicine, about chemistry, physics, biochemistry, it's all wrong, on purpose. And bogus studies are designed to prove that this is how things work. But then when we try them in nature, it really does not provide us with expected results. So, going back to hydration, if we drink plain water, or God forbid distilled water, we are not getting adequate amount of minerals. The blood contains approximately 9 grams of salt per liter. And this is pretty salty. Did you ever taste blood? Your blood? You're bleeding, it's salty. Well, when you sweat, did you taste your sweat? It's salty. Well, this comes from your blood. More you sweat, more minerals you lose. More you urinate, more minerals you lose. Same is even with defecation. The softness of stool depends on amount of plasma that is being released. And if the body is dehydrated and cannot afford to waste plasma, you go into constipation. Has nothing to do with the fiber, again, as we are being brainwashed wrongly. You can have as much fiber as you want and you will be constipated unless you either provide enough plasma to your body, which means water and minerals, or you poison your intestine so it does not absorb. And then whatever liquid came in remains in intestine and makes it possible to maintain the softness of stool even when body is toxic. Now, why I say even when body is toxic? Because when body is toxic, it is naturally designed to cleanse. And for this, it needs plasma. And if it is low on plasma, it cannot afford the cleansing. So it is trying always to absorb as much liquid as possible. And when we eat plants, which are toxic, they always keep the intestinal tract a little bit poisoned. So there is not such a good absorption. And the stool remains hydrated from the liquid that remains as a part of the food we ate, giving us the softness of a stool, or stool being manageable. And then we are being told, oh, it's a fiber. No, it's a toxin, plant toxin. If you have a less toxic food, like carbohydrate, carbohydrate is very bad for us, but on different level. by itself, it's not toxic. So if you have potatoes, even though it has oxalates, but even that is not as toxic. So it will get absorbed. If you eat potatoes, pasta, rice, bread, then, and you are toxic, no matter how much liquid you consume, you are going to end up with a hard stool because the body will be in need of cleansing. And the fact that you have a thick blood and that you have a low energy and other symptoms of toxic blood and toxic body, it means that your body does not have enough blood plasma and it's not cleansing efficiently. Cleansing is a natural process. Body will perform it according to the level of hydration of the blood. And every doctor knows that older we are, the heavier, they say, more concentrated the blood is, until it comes in such a level of dehydration that it's being pronounced as a disease or anomaly called polycythemia. It has nothing to do with any anomaly. It's simply dehydrated blood. Now, why do doctors not know this? Because we have been brainwashed in medical school. And in general, it is such an important topic. Salt is such an important topic that it is constantly being blamed on negativity. Don't have salt, you have a kidney failure. Don't have salt, you have high blood pressure. Don't have salt, you have water retention. Okay, none of it is true. But science has been created to make it look true. And this science is sold to doctors for a lot of money. And they spread the science through population. Because they are doctors, they know everything. Unfortunately, everything they know is contrary to the truth. I know I'm one of those schmucks. But I woke up. Maybe because I hated school, so I didn't pay too much attention. And then my destiny took me into becoming the messenger. I received information on which I focus. And being doctor, I also experiment because I know what I was told. So at the beginning, I was afraid to drink salt. And I had to do it because I received the message that this is how I'm going to fix my blood circulation. Because that was my question at that time. Now, this is the reason why people are so skeptical when they hear, well, you can heal if you drink seawater or water with salt. Well, it's not just any salt. It has to be freshly harvested sea salt. Freshly harvested, I mean, within a year, 2 years, but not something that was in a cave for millions of years. That's not a sea salt. Most of these salts that we mine are actually salty remains of decomposed, huge animals, maybe even humans. Because every organ is based on salt. Every tissue is based on salt. All animals and humans, when you look at the body, it's basically minerals and water. And from minerals and water, everything else is created. When you look at plants, it's carbon and water. And then everything else is created. This is why plants work on carbohydrate and animals work on fats. Now, I don't want to go too deep here, but simply, every time we urinate, we have that much less blood volume. And we have to keep drinking to replenish this lost water and lost minerals. So the fastest way to hydrate back the blood is by drinking water and sea salt. Now, why sea salt? Because sea salt has about 90 different minerals, but has the 12 essential salts that body needs. We find them in a sea salt. What is very important, that sea salt, fresh sea salt, contains a lot of magnesium compounds magnesium compound is basically two salts, which is magnesium chloride and magnesium sulfate. And this is actually the fresh sea salt, is where magnesium comes into the body. Table salt, they wash magnesium away. Most table salt is based on a rock salt, mined salt. Well, magnesium, what is the characteristic of magnesium? It is very sensitive to humidity. So it traps the humidity from the air or from the environment and makes it sweat. It turns into water, and then it rinses the salt itself. So the longer you have a salt out of water, the less magnesium compounds it is going to have there, and less of other minerals washed through the process of releasing the magnesium. This is why we need freshly harvested, basically dehydrated seawater. If you live next to a sea, your best bet is using a seawater. Just dilute it 3:1, because seawater has 3 times more minerals than we need in our blood. So just dilute it. Now, what is another difference? The salt that is sold to us by our supply outlet stores has to have approval of the government, and government is paid by globalists. Doesn't matter what country you live in, it's the same, basically the same rules, especially those who have a UN, United Nations representation, or who have the central banking, Rothschild central banking in. This is all controlled. And they need to keep brainwashing the population. So they're all suggesting no salt, as little salt as possible. Though. And if you need salt, use table salt, because we put additional iodine. You need iodine. Yes, you need iodine. Both claims are wrong. We do not need iodine, and more iodine we take, the worse it is for us on a cellular level, which I explain in articles. Why? And the table salt, so it proves the science, is deliberately poisoned, not only through potassium iodine, but is also poisoned with so-called anti-caking substances, which one of the predominant one is aluminum oxide, because it's white powder, toxic to human. And they call this salt beneficial, safe salt. And another thing is, since it is old salt and washed salt, they rinse the hell out of it to make sure that nothing good stays in the salt. That salt now has basically about 97-99% sodium chloride and very little of other salts, which the freshly harvested, the natural sea salt that has not been manipulated, because they also take sea salt in many countries, in Croatia they do it, they rinse hell out of it to make it as weak as possible, and they put chloride in it, the chlorine, that they make it healthy. Okay, so they make it toxic. But majority of table salt has 99%, between 97-99% of sodium chloride. And the rest, few percentage, is, the garbage that they put in there. And a little bit what was left from the other salts that represents the whole spectrum of 90 minerals. This is why the level of sodium chloride in the blood very often is high. And doctors say it's too high. Well, the sea salt has only about 75% of sodium chloride. And the 30%, 15% of that goes into magnesium compounds. There's a lot of magnesium in sea salt. We need the magnesium, because then the body produces a whole array of different salts based on magnesium that it needs in metabolism. So everything we hear from our scientists, doctors, is wrong. They don't even know it, because they have no time to investigate. They think once when the torturing of the university is over, and there, at least I was very happy when I finally quit studying. They don't want to look at anything anymore, especially on what they think they know. If anything, they look, what is the new discovery served to them? And they continue the brainwashing process. This is why it is very important to know the truth. And when we drink plasma made with natural sea salt or with seawater, the sodium chloride in our blood drops. No matter how much sea salt you put in your plasma, in your water, and drink it, your sodium chloride is going to drop because it will be replaced with the magnesium salts and other salts which you don't find in this purposefully made toxic table salt, which is also in all the products that you buy, in the bread, in cakes. This is all they're using the toxic salt. And of course, the less of this salt you have, the better you are off. But your body cannot function if it's dehydrated. Now, understanding this is going to help you realize. Now the thing is, again, those that follow the Ionis or Agenis, US pronunciation, they believe that sodium, natrium, is very harmful for the body, because if you have pure natrium and you expose it to water or you bang it, it causes explosions. Yeah, it's true. But we don't have a clean natrium in nature. It's always compounded with something else. In our case, with the chlorine. So once when it's compounded, now it's a completely different thing with different properties. And the body uses it. The body uses sodium from sodium chloride and transforms it into potassium, natrium into kali. And later, as needed, it will take the potassium and continue with reshaping it into calcium. All this is done in the body. We used to call it alchemy, but it doesn't fit our science of biochemistry. So we laugh at this because, again, we are brainwashed through biochemistry. Nothing is the way we are being told. We are remembering slowly the truth and expressing it, hoping that some people, at least, will start opening to truth. Because as soon as you start awakening, as the veil between your mind and your heart, soul and ego, starts breaking, when you hear truth, this is your soul knows it, and now your mind starts recognizing it. So you at least start getting interested. Oh, okay, well, this is interesting. Pure indoctrinated brain does not react. The veil is strong, and they hear something like this. I know, I studied, professor who knows everything told me. The professor is the same schmuck as you. Doesn't know anything else but what he was served. So, it's not easy, but we have to start waking up. And when you start drinking plasma, of course, start slow. Just put a little bit of salt in the water, drink it, but you should feel it. So put as much salt as you can feel it. This is not rocket science. You don't have to measure. Understand that your body, blood salinity is about 9 grams of salt per liter. So if you take a liter of water, put 9 grams of salt in there, you're just drinking like blood. So no harm can come. But body is created in such a way that it can rapidly recalibrate. If this we could not do, we would die when we swim in the seawater, because when you're in the seawater, you absorb seawater. 35 grams per 1 liter of salt you're absorbing. And because body immediately does the calibration in the lymphatic system. You stay in a seawater maybe 15 minutes and you have urge to urinate. Why? Because the body was separating the salt and now has to release the high concentration of salt. And if you step out of the sea and urinate and taste a little bit of urine, you will see it's as salty as seawater, which shows you that kidneys have no problem eliminating salt when they have to. Contrary to our teachings of our exploits of medical science. So, everything is in front of our face. We just cannot refuse to acknowledge what we see and what we experience. This should be number one guide, not what we have heard and what somebody else is teaching us. Why would you trust what you are being told if what you see and what you experience shows you different? Well, in a school you have to repeat nonsense, otherwise you will not pass the grade. But once when you don't have to do this, well, start using the Google, start observing and start thinking. There's this polemic of salt being a mineral, inorganic mineral. And this is why we cannot use it unless it's chelated through plants. So plants has to absorb it. Somehow it will make it bioactive. It's all a bunch of baloney. It's nonsense. There is no such a thing as biological and non-biological, because everything is based on electromagnetic pulsation. And the whole structure we have created to our amusement. But we forgot how we created in quantum field, because we have this veil of separation, so we can have human experience, or animal experience, or plant experience. And then we cannot change what was created. We are here to experience, to find the flaws and what we like and what we don't like. So next time we upgrade our experience, we change it a little bit, so we don't go through same bad things multiple times. This is our purpose. Now it's like a CIA. Majority of people that work for CIA are office clerks. And then you have those who are like James Bond, who are the active guys. Well, this is who we are in the game of our reality. There's a bunch of guys in a quantum field, a bunch of souls, helping us and directing us and receiving our messages from our experiences, which then they channel back to people who don't have this. And this is much of confusion, because very often you hear channel message and you say, oh, you see, Spirit tells me that I gotta eat vegetables. Yeah, because his opinion comes from opinion of the misguided people. Okay, well, everything is connected. So it's very difficult to stay, for me, to stay zeroing on one little thing when I get easily sidetracked into other fractions of the sum. But staying on hydration, as long as you are eating animal products, you are receiving a lot of minerals. But a lot of the stuff has to be eliminated. And now, especially if you already have toxicity in the body from before, when you did not eat optimally, or you ate plant food too much, then you have accumulated stuff that body wants to get out, and it will request more plasma. So it can do more water, but water only in state of plasma is usable. So this is what will be needed, and you will cleanse. It is impossible to hydrate when you are toxic. Because if blood is toxic and some plasma comes, body is designed to immediately start cleansing. So it goes and cleanses, loses the plasma that you just drank with toxins. You urinate a lot. Or if you are very toxic, your blood is very toxic, you get diarrhea or even vomiting and sweating, and you start eliminating. This is why body starts requesting more and more because it's very toxic and wants to do this stuff, and you end up constipated. So now you deal with it. Depending on general state of the body, you have to see how you can slow down the hydration so you don't get constipated, and not to promote too fast of a detox, because it can be life-threatening if we are very toxic, like a flu in old people. Now, the life-threatening is in the quotes because you really have to be very, very toxic, incapacitated to be in danger. Most of us are not nearly in that, but you can have very bad symptoms the more toxic you are during the detox process. So sometimes slowing down the detox is a good thing to do, but how do you slow it down when your body is programmed to just deal with it? Well, guidance. You should be guided. Safe to do protocols, cell healers protocols safely. Why cell healers protocols? Because you're starting to understand that body is programmed to maintain itself, to cleanse and heal itself without any help. Automatically it is going to do it. But you have to stop poisoning it, and we poison it through incorrect diets and other stuff. And you have to provide enough plasma, water, and minerals. And the best possible plasma is the one coming from the sea. So diluted seawater or dehydrated seawater, which is a fresh sea salt, mixed then with water, because if, like me now, I'm far from the seashore, I'm in a jungle. So it's much more feasible for me to obtain fresh sea salt and then mix it with water from the creek, from a stream, or rainwater, or whatever I can get as cleaner supply of water. Because if you are using plasma for hydration and cleansing, if you want to cleanse, you will have to provide a lot of water. So the better water you can get, the better for you. Okay, and this is why you have to structure the water. If you don't have confidence in power of your mind of structuring, there are many structuring devices available. Water structuring devices. And then you put the salt in there, sea salt, mix it, bless it, and this will hydrate you, but hydrate you as depending on your toxicity. So blood very toxic, you take a sip, wow, you start eliminating. Again, you are dehydrated. But with every sip, with every liter of plasma you take, you are becoming cleaner and cleaner, and more plasma will remain in the blood, and you start hydrating. And then it will come to the level that enough clean blood is available for cells to start relaxing membranes and start releasing their own toxins and hydrating in the same manner. Take a sip, vomit. But blood becomes toxic, cells in the membrane close again. Wait until you cleanse the blood, may take 2-3 days, the membrane start opening up, take another sip, vomit. And again, the cellular hydration will be painfully slow. But month into month, your cells will be cleaner and better hydrated. Eventually, the released toxins will be lesser, and you will not even realize that your body is still cleansing, because there will be no symptoms. I mean, you will feel great, your tissue hydrated. It will take 20 years of age out of your skin. All the creases are going to go away. So, this is basically how hydration works. There's much more involved with explanations, which on this new site we are going to be sharing. I hope you are interested in joining us and allow your body to heal itself and gain enough knowledge so you can help others. Because everybody that will remain on this planet will be forced to open their mind. Otherwise, they cannot raise the frequency. And people will be startled when they realize that everything they know and everything they have trusted was lies. And then, okay, So doctors know nothing. Where can I find help? Well, this is why awakened people are learning on themselves what actual healing is and how body does the healing, so they can help guide you in this process. We don't need diplomas. True knowledge has no diploma. Diplomas are based on fake knowledge. Try to understand this. No shaman, natural healer has any diploma, and they can actually help you to heal you. And they know purging is the basic necessity. And they always give you something that will make you vomit and have diarrhea for several hours. You think you're going to die. You will ooze mucus out of your body. All the toxins are coming out. And then when this stops, you feel much better because your blood and your lymphatic system are much cleaner. Cells, no. Cells will be as toxic as they were because they closed. They don't want the poison that forced the body into detox to affect them. So you have to repeat this once or twice a year. And little by little, you will get cleaner. But if you do Cellular's protocol, you allow body to do it without poisoning it, simply by creating a little bit excess of minerals that body has to cleanse out, and this puts it into cleansing mode without poisoning. So cleansing goes from the superficial cleansing of blood and lymphatic system into deep cellular cleanse. And this is why the cleanse is not 3-day or 1 week cleanse. It is 2-year, 3-year, 5-year cleanse, depending how old are you, how toxic have you been, but results you will feel quickly. Sometimes in 5 minutes you already see results when you start drinking plasma. Okay, my friends, I think that this will help you to understand hydration and why plasma is necessary. And this is just scratching the surface of the true knowledge of cleansing and how it works on the cellular level. Thank you for being here. Love you all. Namaste.